Mr. Flex Fantastic. He's in again, and we thank him for his time. He's brought to you by TSN's Craig Button. Pro-Am Sports, your locally owned sports memorabilia and apparel specialists. You can find them just north of the Yellowhead, St. Albert Trail, 128th Ave, or visit them online at proamsports.ca. Like they are sports nerds and AM nasties too. I know the car flags. What a day for those! Hey, with the wind and everything, you get a couple of those off your whip going. But certainly get down to Pro-Am. They'll fix you up. They'll get you Game 1 Stanley Cup playoffs ready. And without any further ado, TSN's Craig Button. Craig, hasn't been a long time since you spoke last, and thank you very much once again for being a 5-2 player and flexing your way in. We'll get started on the Oilers and Kings. Certainly lots to discuss there leading up to Game 1 tonight. But what have you thought through the opening weekend? What's that main thing that kind of jumped off the page for you following the first couple of days of Stanley Cup playoff action?
Well, I think just what you and Joaquin were just talking about, 6 past Connor Hellebuck. You got the Jennings Trophy winner. You have the team that had the best goals against in the Winnipeg Jets. So 6. Listen, anytime you get 6 on Connor Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets, you should have a win, and they didn't come close. I mean, when your goaltender, and Georgiev has been beyond bad. I mean, in 6 games, I put it out on social media, in 6 games, 2 against Winnipeg, 1 against Nashville, Edmonton, Dallas, and Vegas. 6 games since March 30th. The save percentage is .811. Like, I don't know what. Like, there's not a beer league in the country that you're going to win with that kind of goaltending. It's awful. And I mean, I felt for Jared Bednar because they're asking him. Like, they never asked him about Georgiev. They kept asking, how's Annunen? How's Annunen? How's Annunen? Like, I mean, it was like I'm not so sure that, like, I mean, I know Annunen's sick, but I mean, I don't know how you keep going back to Georgiev. I mean, the puck now has got to look as big as a pea. And Joaquin, you know this, when a goaltender is in a rhythm, it looks as big as a beach ball. And when he's not, it looks as big as a pea. And right now, Georgiev isn't seeing anything.
So, Craig, it feels great to get the 6 on Hellebuck, but do you think that it kind of evens out because you saw what Adam Lowry was able to do against Nathan MacKinnon and outscore him in a game, I know he still scored, but do a pretty adequate job of defending against a guy that's probably going to win the Hart Trophy this year?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting when you think about it. Like, the Jets have 3 really good centers. You know, it frees up Scheifele and Monahan. I don't think Rick Bowness has a problem putting any of those 3 centermen against McKinnon. And I think the key against McKinnon is keeping him off balance. And, you know, Nathan McKinnon's so good, so dynamic. You know, you can throw Lowry at him, give him a little change there, play him against Scheifele. So the benefit that Rick Bowness has is that he's got 3 centers that can play, I think, against him. And he doesn't have to play just one in a straight matchup. I mean, Adam Lowry's a terrific. I had him in my top 5 of Selke voting. That's how good he is. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that, you know, Adam Lowry can go head-to-head with Nathan MacKinnon. But, you know, when you have Nathan MacKinnon, and you know how dynamic he is. I mean, you have to have players that can think with him, that can compete with him, that can skate with him, and work off. Try to keep him away from his strengths. And I thought the Jets did a really nice job of that against the Colorado team. I mean, no Drouin. I don't think they're deep enough to win a Stanley Cup. I just don't think they are. I don't think they're deep enough to beat the Winnipeg Jets, and I think that they wasted an opportunity scoring 6 past Hellebuck because I don't think that's going to happen again in this series. I really don't.
Craig, just skating along here and remaining in the West, Vancouver taking Game 1 last night over Nashville by a score of 4-2. Dakota Joshua with an empty netter, but Vancouver with 2 quick ones midway through the third. Nashville, I mean, 2-1. You're heading into the final frame on the road. They end up out shooting the Canucks, albeit by 1. But a pretty even affair there, and you see this one also going the distance. And for Oilers fans, perhaps if you do, in fact, get out of that opening round, this could be a matchup where you just kind of, hey, keep going. 7 games, let's play a best of 14. Why not? Keep it going. But your thoughts on last night and the Preds, just falling short there in the end.
Well, Keen, I don't know if you know this, but in the Western Hockey League, long before you got to the Western Hockey League, that's exactly what they used to do. This series is pretty good. Let's make it a best of 9. Oh, wait a sec. Like, they just kept adding dates. The people got excited and everything. So Eric, your idea isn't so far fetched. I really felt that since end of February, beginning of March, Rick Tocchet's been trying to get his team into the mindset to play the game, the exact game they played last night. We're going to play straight ahead. We're going to play against a hard team, and we're going to have to find a way to grind it out. We're going to have to find a way to win one more puck battle. We're going to have to find a way to get one more goal. They were home and cooled out with respect to the playoffs at the beginning of March. But are you ready to go into the playoffs? And I really thought watching that game last night, that's exactly what Rick Tocchet wanted to see. The Nashville Predators had 99 points. You think of that Central Division, with Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado, and it's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet through there. So the fact that Vancouver ended up getting a real hard team in Nashville, I don't think that they thought it would be easy. And you're right. When you're playing in a series and you're going to play the winner of that series, you want to take care of your own business and then keep going long, make it hard. And I think every team does that, when they're not playing. So last night, like the Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kid, they're going, okay, yeah, keep going. This is good. We like this. And, make it long and drawn out as much as you can. But, Nashville's a good team. They're a really good team. And they have the good goaltender. They have Yossi. And for me, I don't know what you guys think, but I don't know what to make of Elias Pettersson, because Elias Pettersson is looking like he could play for the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, not show up for the playoffs.
TSN's Craig Button joining us this morning, courtesy Pro-Am Sports, in for Darren Dreger, who will be on with us tomorrow morning. But, Craig, let's get to the main course here. Oilers-Kings tonight, Game 1. The city, we said Friday, it's going to feel like a Friday. Here come Monday. And sun's coming up. People are anxious. What do you see, I guess, overall from this series when it's all done and dusted? And I'm not necessarily looking for a predictor, and you can share one if you like. But what do you think is the main narrative coming out of this series, whichever way it goes? Is it maybe goaltending reigning supreme when it comes to the Oilers and looking at the Kings? Is it something surrounding maybe Evander Kane? And we heard his words yesterday in dealing with a sports hernia. Is it just McDavid and Draisaitl going ultimately nuclear? How do you kind of see this thing playing out? What's the grand narrative when you head into round 2?
I mean, you gave me multiple choice. I could say all the above. I'm picking Edmonton to win. I'm picking Edmonton to win here. Last year, Stuart Skinner was on the all-rookie team, had a fantastic run, and he ran into a little bump in the road in the playoffs. But Grant Fuhr said this. Grant Fuhr said, in my first year in the NHL, had a good rookie year. I got to the playoffs, and I said I got overwhelmed. He says you learn from that. You go through that. Nobody wants to go through it, but you learn from it. And watching Stuart Skinner. I thought Jay Woodcroft made an egregious error at the beginning of the year when he anointed Jack Campbell the number 1 goaltender. After everything that Stuart Skinner had done last year, I thought that was the most egregious error he made, because I don't you want your goal. I mean, I really felt Stuart Skinner was his guy, but he decides to put a stake in the ground on Jack Campbell. You'll have to ask Jay why he did that. Stuart really found his game. The Oilers found their game, and now come this playoff time. It's an opportunity for Stuart to take all those lessons, the lessons that Grant Fuhr said he learned from, and apply them now. I think he will. I think the Edmonton Oilers have found a level of play that they know can give them success. I think they're deeper. I think they're stronger. And I think that the way they carried themselves, obviously, you start out the way they did. There's a little bit of angst in the city. I'm sure the players had a little bit of angst. But the way they just kind of stuck with it, they just, nose to the grindstone. Let's just continue to play. That's playoff hockey. That's what you got to do. And I would suggest that the Edmonton Oilers, save for the last 2 games of the regular season because they just didn't matter, I thought they did that exact thing. Like when they got in the hole and they just kept playing and they kept playing and they kept playing and they kept playing. I think that's what you need to do come playoff time. I think they're already in the mindset. I think they're already in the physical state. And everything that they've gone through the last number of years, I think those are experiences that I think will benefit them this year.
So do you
I don't think the LA Kings are anywhere near the Edmonton Oilers. And, and everybody talk. I know LA Kings 1-3-1. The 1-3-1 ain't going to work against the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, you just answered my question there, Craig. So, I thought because there was and I think we spoke about this last time we were speaking, that there was a game at the beginning of the year where the LA Kings played a fast, up-tempo, forward-checking type of game that had some success, albeit for 20 minutes. But do you think that are the LA Kings going to change their style of play? Does that 1-3-1 it's not going to mean a lot in the playoffs unless they try to match the tempo that the Oilers can play with, or is that just playing with fire and not they just can't keep up with that type of speed and intensity?
It's interesting, Joaquin, because all I can think about is like, okay, LA Kings, pick your poison.
Yeah.
Do you want to die by cyanide? Do you want to die by hanging? Do you want to die just a second? That's my wife. Sorry, so how do you want to die? They play the style of game that is such that that's how they got to play, and that's what they played. If they want to go up tempo with the Edmonton Oilers, go ahead, go up tempo. I don't think the Oilers. Again, back to where they've been at and what they've shown me this year. Throw me the 1-3-1, we'll play the 1-3-1. Throw me up tempo, play the 0-5-4 check. We'll play. That's what good teams do. Whatever you throw at them, they can adjust. And I really am. Obviously, I wasn't impressed with them heading into the season. I know a lot of people picked them to be a star. I wasn't in that camp. I knew they had a good team. I knew they were a contender. Don't get me wrong. And then they started out, and it's kind of like. But after they got rolling here with Chris Knobloch, the moves they've made, I'm a believer. I'm a believer in this Edmonton Oilers team.
Basically, what you've all just said, Craig, is, I mean, if the Kings are to find success some way, some form in this series, it'd have to be the Oilers, essentially beating themselves. As we said, they can sometimes be their own worst enemy. Do you put any case into this voodoo game 1-0, game ones and teams losing? And I've always thought, too, with this Oilers team, and I know they're older now, and I know they've kind of, as you mentioned, Stuart Skinner, the team growing into their own and going over these learning pains and everything. But I always like them when they kind of have their backs to the wall and they feel like it's them against the world as opposed to this celebration in a game one. But I guess what you're saying is the only thing that the Kings can hope for is the Oilers kind of maybe mentally collapse on themselves some way or some time through the series? Because, I mean, would PLD finding himself be any sort of, barometer to watch for the Oilers? Is there anything that the Kings could do to kind of, you mentioned it's death by 1,000 cuts and kind of picking your poison. So is there anything from an Oilers standpoint that you would be somewhat concerned about when it comes to the LA Kings?
I guess you could always say, don't be complacent, be ready to go. Game
but
one.
If that's it, that's a good answer then. Hey, I mean, that's what you'd want as a.
Yeah, but and again, you watch where the Edmonton Oilers are at. I believe that one of the top rules of winning is don't beat yourselves. Don't beat yourself. And again, you're younger, you get pressing, you want to do a little bit more when a little bit more isn't required, understanding when you need a little bit more, when you just got to keep playing along. I think the Edmonton Oilers are in that space now. And yeah, there's always I wouldn't call it a concern, but if the Edmonton Oilers want to be complacent, if the Edmonton Oilers want to dip a toe into the water, well, then, yeah, you might be able to give your opponent a little bit of hope, a little bit of opportunity. And then, when you start going and another team starts to get a belief, it's the same thing that happens within a game. And the playoff series is if they start in a series or a game and then they go, well, geez, we're here, we may as well try to win. Don't kill the spirit, right from minute one. Yeah. Just dictate it. And I think the Oilers can do that. I think they can go right after it and dictate the game and make the LA Kings have to respond to what the Oilers do. I mean, the Oilers are going to be smart. I think they're going to be a real capable team, but kill the spirit as early as you can.
So you're saying that the Leafs' spirit has been killed in game one against the Boston Bruins?
Joaquin, I picked the Toronto Maple Leafs. I thought the Leafs were capable of being able to, take advantage of their offensive play against, the Boston Bruins. I mean, Swayman was really good.
Yeah.
But I'll be straightforward. After the game, when I hear what it's just pablum. It's pablum coming out of Matthews' mouth. It's pablum coming out of Keith's mouth. It's pablum. Like there is no, like I see no fire. I mean, I see nothing coursing through their veins that says this is garbage. We can't do this. Well, we'll try to be better. You know, we had our looks. Like you've lost 8 straight games to the Boston Bruins. You've scored 15 goals in those 8 games. You're supposed to be an offensive juggernaut. And your attitude and your approach is one, well. Like, honestly, I'll be honest with you. Like it's disgusting. I would be so mad listening to that and watching that. Like, get fired up and start getting mad. Like that scene from Network. I'm fed up and I can't take it anymore. They just hey, hit me again. Oh. It's spirit. Like for your spirit to be broken, you got to start with a spirit, don't you, Joaquin?
Yeah, no, I mean, watching that, I was waiting for some, you mentioned back in the day, I remember as a kid going to New Westminster, watching those best of 9 series against Kamloops players that were scary. They were scary to watch. Usually when the game gets to a certain point, and I know the game has changed, but there is a little bit of, especially when you get into a 7-game series against a team that's dominated you, there's a little bit of email, a little bit of sending a message to the other team like, look, you won this battle, but the war is far from over. And there was nothing. That was a conceded game from very late in that, and that's got to be so disturbing as a coaching staff, as management, that the players just don't have any of that anger of where they're situated in that series. If I'm a Leafs fan, I'm thoroughly disappointed, like you said.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I mean, somebody said to me, well, if they play a game like that again, I like their chances of winning. If they play a game like that again, they might have to declare the series over after 2 games.
Dean Asplund in our YouTube chat says Marner should have his handicap down to a 3 by the end of April. So I guess that's the indication of the listeners here. They're fired up. Craig, we had to go there, but we appreciate you flexing in this morning on a Monday as well, and your time and everything. And enjoy Game 1 tonight, man. We'll talk soon.
Nothing more exciting, honestly. I think the Edmonton, I think that Rogers, that's one of the best playoff environments anywhere. I mean, I'm already tingling because lucky. Get her going.
TSN's Craig Button. We thank him for his time this morning. Brought to you by Pro-Am Sports, your locally owned sports memorabilia and apparel specialists. You can find them just north of the Yellowhead, St. Albert Trail, 128th Ave, or visit them online, proamsports.ca, and you can find Craig Button and all his good work at TSN as well.